Welcome to Better Humanhood, where we build a better world by building better people. We have to live on the planet, and we have to live with other people. We have conversations about making that a wonderful proposition.
Hey there, welcome back to Better Humanhood. If you would do me this favor, whatever app you're listening to this in, go leave me a rating and review. That'll help the show get found. And if you want to take it a step further, head on over to betterhumanhood.com, sign up for our newsletter. We'll get out to you once a week, let you know what's going on in Better Humanhood land. The other day I was sitting around reading James Victore's wonderful reminder to get to work called Feck Perfuction. Something sounded familiar. This is from his book. Weddings are a test, not only for the bride and groom, but also for everybody else. At some point, the music builds and there's a cue. Everybody dance now. But not everyone dances, because it's a test. It's a test of how comfortable you are in your skin. Check my wedding math, he writes. If half of the guests get up and dance, more than half of those are mummies. Their bodies are stuck in a fixed, dance-like position encased by the fear that moving will expose the dancing fool trapped inside. Everybody can dance. To hell with the music, just let go and move. What stops you is your ego. It doesn't want you to look bad or funny or goofy. Dancing is goofy. A couple of years ago, I was at a wedding and I was having my usual way too confident fun on the dance floor. And somebody asked me how we learned to dance. And I said, you know what? We're born knowing how to dance. We have to learn how to unforget how to dance. As we get older, we start to gain more of a sense of shame. And by get older, I mean as we age out of toddlerhood, because really, we start getting ridiculed for nonconformity pretty early in our school careers. By the time we're teenagers, many people are afraid to stand out, and when they do something to stand out, usually they do it in groups, so it's not really standing out. When it came out in 2006, Pan's Labyrinth was on my list to see, and I had missed it. I knew nothing of art theaters where I was living, and it passed me by for more than a decade. Netflix picked it up recently, and I set aside a couple hours to watch it. Suppose that kind of fits in with the film's legacy. Guillermo del Toro, who wrote and directed it, had given up on getting it funded. He'd been sketching it out for years, and after his 2004 version of Hellboy hit, people kept trying to get him to do superhero films. He lost his sketches and notes for Pan's Labyrinth in the back of a cab. The cab driver managed to track him down and return it. He vowed to get the movie made. He wound up not taking a salary. He got no points on the back end. It was that important to him. He even turned down the Narnia films to make it. So this is truly a passion project. Now, if you haven't seen it, here's a synopsis. If you plan on seeing it, there's going to be sort of spoilers here, but you know what? It's a 13-year-old movie, and it's gorgeous, so you should definitely watch it. There's an underground world ruled by a benevolent king. His daughter, the princess, is curious, though, and one day she escapes to the human world above. She's blinded by the sun, becomes mortal, and dies. The king vows to wait for her to return in another form at another time. Meanwhile, in the world above, young Ophelia and her very pregnant mother are riding out to the country to stay with Ophelia's stepfather, General Vidal, who is stationed at the outpost to get rid of the last of the rebels holed up in the woods the years after the end of the Spanish Civil War. Ophelia is bookish, and she believes that on their journey she saw a fairy. It turns out, much like Tweety Bird, she did saw a fairy. Fairy brings her through a labyrinth on the grounds of the general's outposts and down into the underworld where a faun, not Pan, the translation of the title is misleading, gives her a book and some magic stones and says to prove she's the princess, she must complete 3 tasks. Here's an aside. A faun is a charming, lustful half-man, half-goat who is nimble on his goat legs and loves wearing crowns of leaves and berries and not much else. Pan is so much the opposite of charming that the word panic derives from his name. Pan's Labyrinth is a disobedient fairy tale, and if you head on over to joshshear.com and look at the post that went up this week, there's a video describing what that means. Anyway, Ophelia, turns out she is the princess, but she is disobedient to everybody, including the faun's instructions. We'll say that. It is a wonderfully done movie. It deserved every accolade that it got. I worry that the costumes are almost out of technology at this point, as they were done with costumes, not CGI. And I guess we had CGI in 2006, but it's very clearly done with costumes. The movie got me thinking about something I hadn't thought about in a long time. It's our ability to enter Fantasyland. Even as adults, I think we have a pretty good ability to suspend disbelief in the face of fiction. No thinking grown-up believes that bumbling drunk Captain Jack Sparrow is a mastermind genius, but the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are a lot of fun. And I'm pretty sure not even younger Star Wars fans buy that stormtroopers are an inept army that can't hit anyone with a laser gun at close range, or that Darth Vader can asphyxiate people from a distance with an open gloved hand. But we enjoy the films for what they are. But when we do lose the ability to totally immerse ourselves in a different world and actually believe it, like, when does that happen? One of the brilliant pieces of Del Toro's film is that part of it is firmly rooted in the reality of the post-Civil War fighting. Ophelia is chided for her belief in fairy tales, but she feels no shame for it. That's where her first lesson comes. The second lesson she teaches us is that sometimes you have to break the rules. Grown-ups don't always know what they're talking about. Much like some of us need to unlearn shame and let go on the dance floor, some of us also need to learn that real life isn't the only reality sometimes. Here's the big spoiler in Pan's Labyrinth. Ophelia is flawed. She makes mistakes in following the faun's instructions. He tells her his world will be forgotten because she didn't follow the rules, but it turns out she is the princess after she disobeys another of his instructions, and her stepfather kills her. Gets me thinking of the Neverending Story. The young warrior protagonist, Atreyu, is trying to figure out why the Nothing is destroying his homeland of Fantasia when he runs into the wolf monster Gmork. And they have a conversation. Atreyu says, "I can't get beyond the boundary of Fantasia," and the Gmork laughs. Atreyu says, "What's so funny about that?" Gmork says, "Fantasia has no boundaries." "Foolish boy," he says, "don't you know anything about Fantasia? It's the world of human fantasy. Every part, every creature is a piece of the dreams and hopes of mankind. Therefore, it has no boundaries." "Why is Fantasia dying then?" Atreyu asks. "Because people have begun to lose their hopes and forget their dreams. So the Nothing grows stronger." Well, what is the Nothing? It's the emptiness that's left. It is like a despair destroying this world. So when we forget our hopes, when we forget our dreams, when we forget to dream a little bit, we're destroying pieces of our world. Keep your hopes. Keep your dreams. Let your fantasies thrive. Dance. Be who you are. Be who you will to be. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. Get show notes and more at betterhumanhood.com. Leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And have yourself a wonderful day.